Hi guys, it's story time again, and I have a Halloween story for you called Funny Bones. And Funny Bones is 40 years old this year. Isn't that amazing? So, let's find out what happens with the skeletons. This is how the story begins. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. And in the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. And in the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. And down the dark, dark staircase was a dark, dark cellar. And in the dark, dark cellar, some skeletons lived. There was a big skeleton, a little skeleton, and a dog skeleton. One night, the big skeleton sat up in bed. He scratched his skull. "What shall we do tonight?" he said. "Let's take a walk," said the little skeleton, "and frighten somebody." "Good idea," said the big skeleton. So we're going to go for a walk. So, the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton left the dark, dark cellar, climbed the dark, dark staircase, and stepped out into the dark, dark street. They walked past the houses and the shops. They walked past the zoo and the police station, and they went to the park. Oh, look at the park. The big skeleton scratched his skull. "What shall we do now?" he said. "Let's play on the swings," said the little skeleton, "and throw a stick for dog and frighten somebody." "Good idea," said the big skeleton. So the big skeleton, the little skeleton, and the dog skeleton walked around the dark, dark pond, past the dark, dark tennis courts, up to the dark, dark swings. The big skeleton and the little skeleton played on the swings. They threw a stick for the dog. Suddenly something happened. The dog skeleton chased the stick, tripped over the park bench, bumped into the tree. Uh-oh, what do you think's going to happen? Shall we find out if you're right? And ended up in a pile of bones. Oh no, look at him. "Look at that," said the big skeleton. "He's all come to pieces. What shall we do now?" "Let's put him together again," said the little skeleton. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton put the dog skeleton together again, and they sang a song while they did it. "The toe bone's connected to the foot bone's connected to the leg bone's connected to the hip bone's connected to the backbone." Oh, can you see what's happened? Oof, oof. Then they got mixed up. "Is that a toe bone?" said the little skeleton. "Where does this one go?" said the big skeleton. "Oh no, doesn't look right." When they had finished, the big skeleton said, "Dog looks a bit funny to me." "So he does," said the little skeleton. "We've got his tail on the wrong end and his head." "Whew," said the dog skeleton. Look, he's all back to front. Poor dog. That's no good having his tail at the wrong end. At last, the dog was properly put back together again. The big skeleton and the little skeleton sang another song. These bones can bark again, can run around in the park again, go frighten people in the dark again." The big skeleton scratched his skull. "That reminds me," he said. "We forgot to frighten somebody." "Let's do it on the way home then," said the little skeleton. "Good idea," said the big skeleton. So the big skeleton, the little skeleton, and the dog skeleton left the dark, dark swings, went out into the dark, dark town, and tried to frighten someone. I wish we had a nice little boy to frighten. I wish we had a nice old lady. Do you think they're going to find somebody to frighten? The trouble was, there wasn't anybody. Everybody was in bed. Even the policemen in the police station were in bed. Even the animals in the zoo. Of course, the skeleton animals were awake. What have we got here? There's like a giraffe. A fish. Squeak, 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 squeak. Could that possibly be a mouse? Snort. What do you think that is? I'm not sure either. That looks like a snake to me. Oink, oink. And that one's a pig. Gee, Nelly. They're on the elephant. Good evening, all. Who's a cheeky boy then? Have a cup of tea. Pretty Polly, put the kettle on. Mother. It's a pirate skeleton. Let's have a ride on the elephant skeleton, the little skeleton said. Let's have a word with the pirate skeleton. The big skeleton scratched his skull. Let's keep out of the way of the crockle skeleton, he said. When they were back in the street, and when they could still not find anybody to frighten, the big skeleton said, What shall we do now? Let's frighten each other. Good idea. So the little skeleton scratched his head. Let's frighten each other, he said. That's better than nothing. Good idea, said Big Skeleton. What a brain. I'm coming to get you. Gotcha! So, after that, the big skeleton frightened the little skeleton. The little skeleton frightened the big skeleton. The big skeleton and the little skeleton frightened the dog. And the dog skeleton frightened them. Oh, hanging out the tree. Boo! Meow! Woof! Oh, look, he's had to catch him. Ooh! Help! They hid round corners and frightened each other. They climbed up lampposts and frightened each other. They jumped out of dustbins and frightened each other. Yelp! That's an awful lot of frightening, isn't it? All the way home. And that is how the story ends. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. And in the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. And in the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. And in the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. And down the dark, dark staircase was a dark, dark cellar. And in the dark, dark cellar, some skeletons lived. And they still do. And that's the end. See, there's lots of skeletons there. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's story. It is one of my favourite ones for Halloween. And I will see you next time. Bye!